he goes into these properties that or these areas where he basically doesn't qualify or doesn't really heavily qualify the submarket market. When I asked him, I found this so compelling.
It's interesting.
Okay, I was in this Twitter space with a guy who was running institutional funds, and what would I deem institutional? In an institutional real estate level, I'd probably say it's more about a dollar figure than a unit size. I'd probably maybe say anything like 20 plus, maybe even 40 plus. I've heard people say 40 plus, 50 plus.
Million purchase price.
Million. But his argument, what he was saying is that he used to work for an institutional fund, and he went off on his own, and in his fund currently, he's only looking to hit 1 to 3 home run deals per year. And the way he's doing that is going after markets with the ability to hit double-digit returns in terms of cash-on-cash return, I believe, and yield, based on stabilizing the property after purchase. And the only way that he's doing that is going into markets, which he actually said he goes into markets that do not hit the news. Do not hit the news. He actually mentioned he goes into markets where he's the smartest idiot, is what he actually said, quote unquote. Because when you go into these, big markets, Miami, New York, and Dallas, and LA or whatever, you've got these institutional buyers that they really know what's going on. So he relies on, I guess, naivety to hit these deals. I'm gonna guess a lot of these areas, it's like mom and pop shops running real estate, and they don't really, they're maybe delinquent owners and managers. So he goes in there. He adds value by increasing rents. He likes he likes to buy properties that are significantly below market. And that's what he does.
Take something at 6 or 7% cash flow up it to 12, 13, 14% cash flow.
Yeah.
In these locations, they're being mismanaged or below market rents. Yeah. Do some light improvements.
Yeah.
Hold the property and then flip it for a significant profit.
Yeah, and he said he holds maybe for about 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
He also mentioned that he goes into these properties that or these areas where he basically doesn't qualify or doesn't really heavily qualify the submarket market. When I asked him, I found this so compelling.
It's interesting
because what's the number one rule of real estate?
Well, the number 3, top three. The location.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, fuck, what an interesting strategy, right? And
there's some stuff like that comes to my mind. Okay, you're holding it for 5 years. If he's like location agnostic, like he doesn't care about the location, what's it like to manage this for 5 years? That's
what I mean, right? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, if it's a big property and you have professional management, it might not matter that much.
Yeah, and he's not going after big properties. So what he says is his average buy size is like $2.5-3 million.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what, our general strategy with Coachwood is we're focusing on we don't focus on the ultra premium locations. Mm-hmm. Like you don't really make money there, right? Mm-hmm. It's too hard to cash flow.
Well,
in general, let's speak in general.
Okay, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
You're not going into Miami.
Yeah, it's hard to cash
downtown.
Flow. Now, my argument is, and this is a little bit of a catch-22 for me because I'm always saying, but you got to buy for cash flow. It's the lifeblood of a business. It's the lifeblood, and then real estate's no different. Real estate's a business. You have to buy for cash flow. But my argument has always been, you do not make the most money with cash flow. It's not cash flow that's bringing you in the most money. It's the gain on the sale, which I never buy from or buy for. So that to me is the I guess the catch-22 for me, because I never buy for appreciation, but it's always appreciation where you're making the most money, and you're also able to, you can leverage it, right? Obviously, properties increase in value. You can pull that cash out tax-free. It's massive. the leverage on buying in better locations so that you are, increasing in value, which those areas increase the most in value. Now, his argument also is that if you're bringing a property from, say, a 7 cap to a 14 cap, doubling that cap rate, you're also significantly increasing the value of that property, right?
Double.
You're doubling. Yeah, you're doubling the price of the value of the property. Now, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this strategy. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting because the management of those properties is probably a little bit more hefty. He did mention he's in borderline like delocations. And I can't imagine a delocation being a great property to manage.
Yeah, in those locations, you increase management risk.
Yeah.
But you decrease market risk.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way, right?
Yeah.
Now, we try our best always to mitigate market risk as well, right? We're doing significant investigation on the market. But like you said, kind of in the pre-show, a lot of the projections are based on job growth and population growth, which are projections. There's no guarantee that those things are going to happen. So with all this being said, right, like Coachwood doesn't typically operate that way. We do force appreciation. We do value add, like in Miami and whatnot, when the opportunity calls for it. But what's your take from this? What's your takeaway? Are you thinking like, hey, let's apply this to Coachwood, or is it just kind of a general conversation that got you thinking?
It got me thinking. It definitely got me thinking. I know John would never go for that. John is very big on location. He loves location, and I value his opinion. He's been in real estate for 30 years. He's got a lot of experience. Not at the large scale level, but I mean, he's seen a lot of shit. He's developed himself. He just has a lot of experience, and he's also very. I'm cautiously optimistic. He's cautious, and that's it.
Yep.
Right. He's always I maybe cautiously optimistic. He's extra cautiously optimistic, more so than I am.
I got you.
Yeah. Now, I don't love that idea. I love buying real estate where I want to be. Right. I did some preliminary investigation on properties that do fit that type of criteria, and I don't want to be anywhere where these properties are. So it's not.
I think I would feel the same.
Yeah. But it also comes down to that's not the game plan though. When you're buying real estate is to make money. You're buying real estate to make money, and it's as simple as that. But I mean, fuck. Don't you want to buy real estate where you want to live or where you'd want to live? I would. I do. I remember. Same. I remember I went to this one property in Chicago, and I can't remember where it was in what the township was called. It was a senior condo building. There was like 60 units up for. It was like 63 units. In hindsight, I fucking almost wish I would have bought it, but this was about a year ago, and that's the one thing that I would make an exception for. I'd probably buy senior communities almost anywhere in the country, so long as there's not some underlying issue with the submarket, right? Because people are just getting older. The boomers are aging, and they like being in senior communities. They don't want babies. They don't want to hear babies crying through the walls, and they don't want to hear. They don't have to deal with parties and stuff like that. That's why I love.
They're too old to cause problems.
They're too old to cause problems. They don't move in and out of the properties. It's a great asset to be in. But I remember being in that location on site, qualifying the submarket, and I remember thinking to myself, I can't buy this property because I would never want to live in this area ever. And I walked away. Had it locked up. Great deal. And I remember thinking to myself, like, the only driver there was like, it had a golf course, and it was a really nice golf course. But I remember thinking to myself, there's no way I'm living in this location, so I cannot buy this property.
Yeah, I think this is important where you, as an investor or an institutional investor, as Coachwood, right? It's to specialize in something, right? Like what he's doing is working. He's probably killing it. It's a great strategy. I'm definitely not knocking the strategy.
Yeah.
It's just, I would say, like, it's not how I would like to operate.
Yeah.
Because I've seen the dark side of subpar locations.
Yeah.
And it can get really, really ugly. Now, if you have 14% cash flow, covers a lot of errors for sure.
And that's his argument, right?
Yeah.
His argument was, was that, yeah, if he's in a double-digit cash flow, then the volatility and the rates don't matter. The volatility and the management doesn't matter.
Yeah, it covers.
But man, are you? I've seen the dark side of that too, man. I currently own property that fits that bill right there, and
tenants stop paying rent.
It's a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot more problematic. It's a lot more problematic. And for me, if our goal is to truly scale a fund, that to me is a little bit problematic, because as you scale, the more problems that you have and you have to deal with at scale is going to slow you down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to extrapolate. Like, let's say I'm an outside investor and you present me with an opportunity and it's in some D location. You say, hey, we can do this, this, and this. Like, I'm going to look at that and say, not interested. I don't want to buy in a war zone. That's
actually another question that I had for you is, okay, so say, for example, if I bring you a property and it's in fucking Waukegan, I don't even know where that it would be. Waukegan, I can't remember if it's Illinois or Kansas or whatever.
Yeah.
There's nothing really going on there. We're buying it for even a 6 to 7 cap, and we can stabilize this property, bring rents up to market, and from within the first year, we can turn the rent roll over, and year 2 we can stabilize at, say, a 12 cap, right, and or 12% cash on cash return. But there's not a whole lot going on. You go there, it's kind of a sleepy town, not a whole lot of population. There's not a whole lot of economic fundamentals going on there. There's not really that much of a job market. There's nothing exciting going on in the market there. Versus a 4 cap in, say, I guess Miami. Like, what are you going to be more compelled to invest in? And where the 4 cap, say, stabilizes at a 6% or a 7% cash on cash average over 5 years, hold period. So you're going to stabilize.
I would look at the total return on investment projected for both.
Total rate of return.
Make a decision. Yeah. It's a tough call. Like, if you had experience taking those Waukegan places and giving me 12% cash flow a month, and I trusted you, I'd give you my money if you'd done it before.
Yeah.
That being said, like, if I was the investor, if I was the manager of the fund, I wouldn't want to, that wouldn't be my strategy personally. It just doesn't excite me.
I do feel, from my perspective, when we go to market with these properties with Coachwood Capital, I do feel like a scenario like that would be difficult to sell.
Which one, the Waukegan type thing?
Or whatever, yeah. Like an uncompelling market.
Yeah.
Right? Because, again, I always get questions about, okay, well, like, what's going on in the market there, right? And if I don't have an answer where it's like, well, not a whole lot, but hey, you're going to get 12% return on it. That the problem is, in markets like that, I feel like you're much more running the risk of, I was going to say, you're much more running the risk of the value of that property not increasing over even a 5-year period than you are in a compelling market where there's fundamental job growth, population growth, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you're buying for a 6 cap and you're then stabilizing at a 12 cap, I mean, fuck, you're increasing the value of that property significantly. So this is such a compelling argument to me. I don't really know what I would do. What I would do, though, is, like I mentioned, I would buy senior properties in locations like that, because for me, I feel like the senior community argument is strong enough.
Yeah, we agree. But let's take that out of the equation, because that's not the debate here.
It's market.
Yeah, so the top 3 rules of real estate: location, location, location. But our number 4 rule, which we never violate, is it has to be cash flow. It has to cash flow. It has to be
cash flow positive.
Yeah. Now, we don't really say how much cash flow.
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't really say that. So is there enough? Like, we have specific targets, right? When we're doing a fund, it's 7.5.
I like to look for over the average 5-year term that we use as a gauge. I want to see an average rate of return on the cash on cash of 7%.
Yeah. So that would be the debate, right? Do I want this fast growing market that is in a let's call it a B location, right? We don't really buy in the A locations. We're buying in the sweet spot. So you have what he's doing down here. You have the A locations up here. We're looking for the middle ground.
Yeah,
property
so I'll give you
where-
an example. Yeah, so for people to have a little bit of context, the Bayview Palms investment that we did in North Miami Beach, that's probably a solid B location. The reason why that area that I was attracted to that property was because I started to see the growth of Miami, and Miami it's landlocked, right? You can't really. You can't go anywhere. You're surrounded by water. You're surrounded by swampland or whatever. So the only way for Miami and Miami Beach, the only direction was to go up into North Miami Beach and North Miami, right? So I was like, okay, you know what? It's getting way too expensive in Miami, right? North Miami Beach and North Miami is actually fairly inexpensive, and it's only 50 minutes away. Well,
Pretty
we were
simple.
right.
Yeah.
We were absolutely right. Now, that's an example of a property where we stabilized that property at double-digit returns. Now, here's the issue with that property. Remember that hurricane that came through and wiped out Tampa?
Oh, yeah.
The problem with that property right now in Bayview Palms, or in North Miami Beach, Bayview Palms, is that the insurance premiums basically I don't want to say they cut the rate of return in terms of cash on cash because the insurance premiums skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Now, that's the problem again that you run into a lot of these hot locations is that you have these massive fluctuations. You know, everybody wants to be in Florida. Everybody wants to be in California. You got earthquakes. You got this. You got that. Like fucking Arizona's going through like this big, water issue right now where there's like no water going on. And then you've got Florida where it's actually becoming difficult to find insurance even in Florida. So we got hit with a massive insurance premium increase on the property. A lot of people are telling me that they don't expect that to be long term. But if we were to not be hit with that insurance premium, Bayview Palms right now would be cash flowing double-digit returns right now. A double-digit yield, which is massive.
In a much better location than Waukegan with stronger fundamentals.
Much better location, much stronger fundamentals. Now, do I think I hit a home run with that? Yes. Do I think we'll be able to hit that again? It's going to be tough to hit that one, hit a home run like that again, I feel, because we got in right before that market started to pop. I saw the metrics starting to pop and in the all of the locations surrounding that area. So it's hard to find those type of deals. In terms of Canton Manor, that property, it's a senior location, or it's a senior property, great location, an uncompelling market, but a compelling market nonetheless based off of the senior growth rate over the entire country. So my argument is I like that guy's strategy, but I like that guy's strategy when you apply it to senior communities only. And I like the potential for high growth in, better locations. I like marrying those two in a fund.
I think the upside in Waukegan or whatever these locations are is capped to your forced appreciation because the rents aren't growing. The market's not going to force rent appreciation. It's not going to compress cap rates by population growth and job growth.
Yeah.
And Boeing ain't setting up a shop there, whatever the case is, right? So you're really limited to the forced appreciation. Whereas in the better locations, you can force appreciation.
You can force them a lot faster.
You can
a lot higher.
You can force it by just mismanaged building, raising the rents, or improving the units, or both. And then the market can also do a lot of the stuff for you if you get your metrics right and buy in the right market. Which, like, let's call it the sweet spot investing, right? Like that's what we kind of look for. Yeah. So they're all great strategies, right? Like I think Grant Cardone's buying like A plus properties,
up, the cream of the crop. Yeah,
yeah. Not really our strategy. This guy's playing.
I'd love to buy stuff that he's buying. It's just it's outrageously expensive per unit.
Definitely, yeah.
You're not getting any kind of density. We're at the stage now where we need a little bit of density to roll in the costs of being able to do all this.
Well,
right?
like you always say too, right? The A locations, when times get hard, they'll go to the B.
Yeah.
But B won't go to C.
Exactly. Yeah, B will be a little,
more insulated.
Exactly, yeah. You're a little bit more insulated.
And then C, they're kind of stable, but they're not.
That you run into a little bit more, intense management situations.
Yeah, and I think like long term, the premium locations. If you come talk to me in 20 years, like those landlocked locations by the water, where the job growth is insane and all the big businesses are. Come talk to me in 20 years. So let's see who made more money, right? Over a 3 to 5 year period, you might be able to force appreciation and get such a good deal on the purchase because nobody wants to be there.
Yeah,
that you can get similar returns. But over 20 years, those premium locations are just so limited, hard to find, and impossible to replicate.
Yeah,
you can replicate Waukegan or whatever, right? Like it's just a mid.
Yeah, you can. Like it's exactly. You can,
nothing special about it.
Yeah, you can session off an acre of farmland
from
some farmer and just pop up a building.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
In Miami, all the land's taken. You can't do that where these premium locations are.
That's why
the ocean.
That's why I love water, man. I came across a property on Treasure Island. This was actually a really interesting play, and I'm a little bit, I guess, disappointed because I didn't pick up on the fact that it didn't say in the listing that the current building was knocked down. So in the listing it shows the current building, but then when I go to Street View, it shows the building has been knocked down. So I'm like, fuck. It's a $3 million property, right? But they're zoned, ready for shovel in the ground for a 12 unit on the fucking water across from the Gulf of Mexico, right? Yeah, dude. And the build cost is about $3.5 million. The land value is about $3 million, but everything's ready. All the permits, the zoning, everything's ready to go. So I was like, holy fuck, this might be something I want to buy, right? But I love buying stuff that allows me to get in, cover the debt, service the debt, maybe not even cash flow positive, but service based off the cash flow, service the debt and expenses, and then allow me a little bit of a breather. Maybe we raise some funds for the cost of the build, and then we build it and then hold it on Treasure Island on the Gulf Coast. Like, fuck, man.
Irreplaceable.
You can't, like, that's the type of stuff where, exactly, it's you are absolutely insulated there.
Yeah.
And
because, like, in my opinion, on a big picture scale, the world is becoming, the rich are getting richer, and the wealth is getting more and more concentrated. That means the wealthy people are all going to go to the same spots. Mm-hmm. They're going to want those premium locations. They're going to want Treasure Island, 12 unit on the water, and they're going to have the money to do it. Yeah. Right. That's why a lot of the premium stuff right now isn't really crashing, because there's a lot of people with a lot of money.
Is that what you're seeing?
Well, I mean, there's lineups at all the premium stores. All the Beamers and Ferraris are all sold out, right? The people with money aren't getting hit that bad right now, right? Or if they are, but they have the wealth to sustain it, whatever. It's the middle class that's getting smoked. Yeah. In terms of living, cost of living and whatever else. There's lifestyle is becoming too expensive. Yeah. But the rich, anyways, my point is that, like, when you have these premium locations, it's the people with money. That's where they go, right? Not, which means the appreciation goes up more. I is our point. And what we always talk about as well. Let's say Waukegan appreciates at 1% a year, because the rents go up at 1 or 2%, whatever, and inflation and all that stuff. Well, what was the name of the waterfront there that you were just talking about building?
Oh, it's on Treasure Island.
Treasure Island. Let's say that because it's such a limited spot, it goes up 3.5% a year. Yeah. On average, right? Yeah. Well, 3.5% of $7 million versus 1.5%. If you extrapolate that over 20 years, it's millions and millions and millions of dollars.
It really is. Yeah.
Of just forced appreciation by inflation and just your regular metrics. Yeah. So, like, that's why I think over a short period of time, you can go in and fix up these crappy spots, and you're going to make a similar return if you do it right. Yeah. But over 10, 20 years, those premium spots are going to make you a lot more money.
It's a lot more work. It's just a lot more work. It really is. And how do I know that? Because I've been doing this for 15 years. Like, I have property that I have literally never even seen. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I've never even been there.
Who do you get the most calls from? Which let's say A, B, C, D. Which category of properties are you getting calls from?
Those fucking duplexes you sold me.
I'll buy them off you for the same price we sold them to.
Don't get me wrong. That was a great fucking deal.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I bought those duplexes, though, is because there's a development. There's $100 million
you're going to do just fine. But
those right there.
It's those. What location is that, though?
It's fucking D all day.
So our point is that those are the headache properties.
Yeah.
They're the D locations. They're the ones you're getting calls about. It's the premium stuff that I own. First of all, I never want to sell it because I know it's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sell it because I don't need to.
Yeah.
I don't get any calls. It's self-managing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right?
It's actually crazy.
It's almost too easy. And
that's the stuff that you ultimately, I feel, can scale.
Yes.
It would be very difficult to scale, shit like those duplexes that I have. It would act like a big portfolio of that kind of shit would be difficult. You're a fucking zoo operator. Like you are. You just are.
It's eating up your time and
really
resources and energy.
Not only your time, but on paper those things cash flow. But man, like the expenses, the turnover, the bullshit you have to deal with when someone moves out of that shit, and they're very transient. Those people, they move in and out all the time. They're fucking It's actually incredible to see the rate of those tenants moving in and out.
The way the world is going, because real estate's becoming so expensive and unaffordable for people to own, you're going to have a pool of very good tenants, middle class, good jobs, $2,500 a month rent, dual income. They're not going to be able to buy. They want to live in these premium spots. Yeah. And if you're positioned properly, that's what you're going to attract in these B locations, right? Now, kind of the sweet spot.
Now the argument is if the population of tenants is going to be growing significantly, would those D locations eventually be eaten up by good tenants?
No.
Because
unless they're torn down and improved.
Or would those properties eventually gentrify? Right,
the location would have to gentrify first.
I agree. That's what I mean. So would that location eventually gentrify?
Some places will never gentrify.
I agree with that.
And there's a few in Windsor.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're saying. Like, it's possible. Sorry, I should never say it's impossible. But, like, there is no sign. In fact, it's actually going the opposite.
I totally agree.
And here's why. Because
what locations?
Downtown near the casino, stuff like that.
I don't understand that location. You put that anywhere else.
Let me tell you why, though.
Okay, go.
Because the government is putting homeless shelters around there.
Yeah.
And because it's already crap, they're not going to put it in this neighborhood. They're going to put it there.
But nobody's
going to complain.
But they're not like that close there. You know what I'm saying?
They're close enough, bro.
You think so?
It's not only that, but you have decades and decades of the low income people just living there. And it takes there's a few places when I was living in Ottawa that was oh, this is this location is even let's take Little River Acres here, right?
Yeah.
It's in a premium spot. It's East Riverside, but the whole neighborhood is just there's still shootings there, right? And the houses are crap, and they're small. There's no gas lines running there, right? Whatever the case is, so it just can't break out of this funk, unless somebody comes in and tears it down and redevelops
Drillard
it.
area too, man. You can't get it out.
It's gone from here to here, but it has not gone from here to here.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's sandwiched between,
and nobody wants to be there, which is my argument. Again, right? Are you gonna live on fucking Drillard? Are you gonna live in Little River? You gonna live on there?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter
what.
Live
by the casino?
No matter what.
Which is crazy because that's walking distance to the fucking waterfront, which is crazy. And some of those houses have water views. Yeah. I'm like, what? You drive down there, or even for fireworks, we go down there. We walk to the fireworks from Erie Street area. You're walking by these houses, and you're like, holy fuck! It takes me 1 minute to get to the water. You put that shit anywhere else in the world, you're like fucking. You're golden.
That's what I'm saying.
It's weird.
It's possible somebody comes in and just starts, really changing the game around there. It's definitely possible. But it's not. You don't see any signs of it.
Yeah, you don't.
And you'd have to play such a long game.
Yeah.
And then the opportunity cost of just buying the place that's just about to pop, right? Like North Miami Beach, for instance, or whatever in your local market is just this is the next one. And you don't really know if the government's going to support the gentrification.
Yeah.
Because in Windsor, it's not. It's being the opposite. I keep hearing about a new injection center that they're opening up. Right? Look what's happening in a lot of California cities, San Francisco and stuff like that. Injection site here, injection site here. Come get your needles. Come get your free
nobody
crack.
wants to live near that.
Well, my point is, if the government supported it and squeezed that stuff out, the developers would come in and fix it up.
Yeah.
But because you can't predict what the government's going to do, you're actually playing with fire. Like it looks like it's going to be improved.
Yeah.
It should be, right? Everything around it's great, but then the government comes in and screws you. So
it's not worth the risk.
You can be playing with fire in that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think like his strategy of buying the stuff with such high cash flow is covering for that risk.
It is, yeah.
But it's
and that's his
also
argument.
And I agree with it. It's a great strategy. I would invest with this guy. You know, if he has a pedigree, whatever. But come talk to me in 20 years.
Yeah.
At 3.5% levered appreciation, right? 5-to-1 leverage or 3-to-1 leverage, depending on what your loan to value is and all that. 3.5% levered over 20 years compound is like insane money for these premium locations. Joaquin is never going to do that.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
There's no fundamental drivers. There's no market drivers.
Yeah. Once you're stabilizing, it's game over for you.
What we're saying is we buy for it's location, then cash flow. We don't say how much cash flow.
Yeah.
The reason you're getting 17%, there's a reason for it. Okay?
I agree.
There is a reason.
That right there is the kicker. You are, again, you
get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for.
Now, one of my favorite quotes is like, poor people and middle class focus on price. Mm-hmm. Rich people focus on value.
Yes.
Okay. Price doesn't matter. It's the value. Okay. It's a value is it takes into account price. If you're an investor, it takes into account returns relative to price. It takes into account a location. It's an entire picture. The poor and middle class, all they see is price and they won't see the value. They'll be like, oh, that's cheaper. I'm going after that. And then 3 years later, the car breaks down and it's a piece of crap. And then they're buying a new car and it actually costs them more than just buying the better car to begin with or whatever the thing, or the watch or whatever, right? They're cheap.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And I think we are value investors.
Yeah.
Value is a misconstrued term, right?
Yeah.
It's not that it's cheap. It's not that it's crap. It's we see the whole picture.
Yeah. Value. Yeah,
account.
exactly. Value is based off of, price point as well as, quality. It's all of those things mixed together. I would say value is a merge between quality and price.
Quality, price, return on investment, location, submarket fundamentals, population growth.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good value. This Waikita property, it's going to make money, but is it really good value? It is in its own way, but so is this.
Yeah.
And over 20 years, we think this might produce higher returns.
Yeah.
I guess if, to sum up, they're both great. I'd be in on both.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about changing Coachwood strategy at all?
No,
Would this become part of your?
No. I don't mind that strategy for senior properties. I don't mind that. I'm looking at a couple senior properties in not compelling markets whatsoever, but I love the senior twist on properties. I love the senior communities.
It mitigates a lot of risk.
It does.
And you're talking senior only. You
senior
can't
only.
get into this building unless you're 65 plus or whatever the case is, right?
Senior only.
Yeah.
I got a call at I think 10:30 with a guy that has nice. affordable housing with HUD loan on it and it's 62 plus 63 unit.
Yeah, so that's an interesting spin, right?
Yeah.
You put that building
not in a great location.
Yeah. Now it still can't be a war zone.
No. But here's the thing too. Those type of properties, they're never in war zones because who the fuck
That's a good point.
Senior wants to live in a fucking war zone.
Yeah.
Right? They don't live in those they don't have that, right? So what you see in those type of properties are usually on the outskirts of, major metropolitan areas. They're like half hour away, whatever. They're out of the hustle and bustle of the main cities, right? So, which I don't mind, but again, and the kicker there is that you'll get people, say for example, like Miami, right? Or let's not use Miami. I don't like because Florida's full of fucking senior shit. So you take Michigan. You have Canton, which is a really nice city, not big, maybe 100,000 people, right? But it's on the outskirts of Detroit. So you have a lot of people that will move out of Detroit because they don't want to fucking live in the suburbs of Detroit anymore, Troy or Royal Oak or whatever. It's too expensive. It's trendy, whatever, right? So they'll move into a quieter town like Canton, but it's still a growing senior population overall. So that's why I like it.
It's in a spot that can pull from
exactly
various cities, including a major metropolis
it's not
city.
too far to have your grandkids come visit. there's still amenities around, like that kind of shit.
If you want to go
on,
into
right?
Detroit,
yeah,
you
can go
20 minutes or
back,
whatever.
you can go visit people, you could do whatever. It's not too far from anything, right? So I love merging the stability of that type of asset with the potential for growth and saleability of a hot market like, say, North Miami, or a market right outside of a market like that's poised to pop. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it.
Let's call it the sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly.